Okay, everybody have the slope-intercept form so I can scroll down. Good. Okay. The standard form one. And I'll go back and explain this. Just a minute. Okay, I'm going to come back down to this. I'm going to go up to the top and start talking, and then we'll move on to this. Okay, so the two equations we're going to use is slope-intercept form and standard form. Both of them are interchangeable. If you don't like working with standard, you can always just rewrite it to get the y by itself. That's the only difference, okay? So slope-intercept has the y by itself, and it gives us the slope where it crosses the y-axis, okay? So the first thing that we graph when we graph it is going to be this one. So if there was a number there and it was 2, a positive 2, then on the y-axis you're going to put a dot at 2. And then that's your starting point. Then from there, then you're going to look at the second step, which was the your slope. So it's rise over run. What happens if you have a number by itself and it's not in the fraction format? Say I had 5x. 5 over 1. So you still have a rise or run, regardless if there's not a fraction written there, okay? Just be careful of your negatives, okay? If there's a negative 2x, it doesn't matter if you assign that negative to the top number or the bottom number, it's just not both. Because a negative over a negative would make it a what? Positive. So it's not the same thing. It's only one or the other, okay? So y axis is your rise, okay? And then run is going to be left to right with your x's, depending on if it's positive or negative, okay? All right, this next part, you probably didn't see a whole lot of that in Algebra 1. You probably have, if you've been working through Alex, seen it. Con has it every once in a while. And everybody's like, oh, what is that, f of x? F of x is really just your y, okay? They put the f of x there, because whatever that number's going to be depends on what you're plugging in for x, okay? So just think of that as your y. Okay, so if they had f of x equals and then this, it's the same thing as having a y. Okay, so the value of y depends on the value you plug in for x. Now, where this really plays in is if you leave it in standard form. So standard form has the x and the y together on one side, and then a number that doesn't have a variable attached to it is on the right side of the equal sign. Okay, so when we plug these in, again, you can rewrite them if you don't like working with this one. But when we do these, we're plugging in values for x and then solving for y. Well, the easiest number to plug in is 0, right? Because anything times 0 is going to be 0. You can pick the number 1, but then you're going to have to times it by whatever number is there, okay? So when I plug in 0 for x, you're going to see it when we go to do these problems. Really, it just means that whole thing goes away, and now I can solve for y. So if I were to get y by itself, what would I have to do with b? get it by itself, because right now it's times. What? Divide. Okay, so that's where that's coming in. Okay, so when I plug in 0 for x, then I'm going to divide the b over to the c side. Okay, same thing for y. If I plug in 0 for y, really that is gone. Okay, so now I'm solving for x. So if I solve for x, the a is going to go to the other side and divide. So that's where that comes from. Okay, then you'll have coordinates. You have an x and you have a y. So you would go over, depending on either positive or negative, graph your first dot, and then go to graph your second dot, and then connect them. Okay, so choice, either one of them are going to get the same. If you decided to get the y by itself and move everything over, then you can do the rise and the run and the y, the slope intercept. Okay, so we are starting with our first one. So I want this on the graph, please. Okay, our numbers are not very big, so you don't need a big graph, right? Maybe a 3 by 3. Just label it as number 26 and write the formula next to it. Okay, so this one is in slope intercept form. Okay, so we have the slope, we have where it crosses the y-axis. So if you look back at your vocab that you wrote at the beginning of your notes, we graph this part first. Okay, and that's where it crosses the y-axis. So here's our y-axis, the one that goes up and down. Okay, so I'm going to put a dot at a -1. So on my y-axis, negatives are down this way, so I'm going to put a dot at a -1. Good from there. Okay, so from that dot, you don't go back to the origin, okay, from that dot that you just made, now you are going to do slope, and slope is rise over run. So my rise is a 1, and my run is a 2, but I have a negative here. So you just choose, it doesn't matter, okay? I could assign it to this one, okay? Or I could assign it to that one, it doesn't matter, okay? And we're going to show that in just a minute, okay? So from this dot, if I did this first one, I'm not going to rise up because that's a positive direction. I'm going to go down, okay? I'm going to go down 1, and now it's positive for my run, so which direction am I going to go? To the right. Okay, so I have my second dot right here. So I went down and over 2, okay? So I can connect that line, because all I need is 2 dots to make a line, okay? So I can connect that line to make my line. Now, if I chose this one instead, and I was at this -1, I would go up 1, and then to the left 2, right? So this is why it does not matter. It's still on that line, okay? So just as long as one of them is negative, you'll still fall on the same line. Good? Okay. Next. Now you get to see the alphabet. Okay, so this one is the same exact thing as that. Okay, depending on if I were to actually plug a value in for this, like 0, I can solve for y. Okay, so that's all that means. So don't panic when you see that. What is that? Okay, so I'm going to start my first dot where? Where? -4 on the y-axis. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. Put it down. Okay, from there, I have my rise and my run. Okay, so from that dot, I'm going to rise how much? 1. Which direction? Up. Okay, so I'm going to go up 1 from there, and then now what? Over to the right way. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, if I, which I don't think you need to, but if I wanted to not go that direction, for some reason it ran off my paper and I want to go the other direction, what is equivalent to this that I can rewrite this? Right. Okay, like double negative, right? Because a negative or negative is positive. So say like my paper was here and I didn't make it big enough, okay, I could have gone down, okay, 1 and then to the left 1 because they're both negative, and then it would have been over this way, okay? But it's still the same line, very steep. Okay, so it'd be the same if I had a line that just went this way. If you extend it going the other way. Okay, good on slope intercept, because I'm only doing 2 of each just because I feel like you guys have seen this multiple times. Okay, so now we're going to the standard one. So number 21. Okay, so we're going to do the plug-in 0. And again, you can plug in a different number if you want to plug in a different number because you don't like zeros for some reason. You can do that, but 0 is going to be your easiest. Okay, so if I plug in 0 for x, I'm just really getting rid of the x. It's gone because 0, adding 0 or subtracting 0 from the number is not going to change it. Okay, so the only thing I'm solving for now is y. And this is my equation, and y is not by itself. So to get y by itself, I have to divide by what? Negative 1. Okay, so divide by negative 1 to get rid of it. So my y is a negative 3. Okay, now I'm going to do it again, but this time I'm going to plug in 0 for my y. This one's easy because there's no number in front of it. Okay, the y goes away. What is x equal to? 3. I didn't have to divide by anything because there's no number in front of it. Good? Okay, now all these are coordinates, your x and your y coordinates. So I'm going to plot my first one, which is 0, which means I'm not moving anywhere left or right. Okay, but I'm going to go down 3. Okay, so I'll go left or right because it's 0. I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3. There's my first one. 0, negative 3. Okay, then my other one is 3, 0. Now this time at the origin, I'm going to go to the right 3. Okay, am I going to go up or down? No, because it's 0. Okay, and then you next. Okay, again, if that bothers you doing that you've never done that before, you can rewrite this and get y by itself. Okay, so I would move my x to the other side, which would make it a negative x, and shift that over. That's a positive 3, and then just divide everything by negative 1. And that would give me y equals x, right? So negative divided by negative is positive. And then this would give me a negative 3. Okay, so it crosses the y-axis at a negative 3. My slope is up 1 over 1. Okay, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. It's still the same one. Okay, so either one's going to give you the same line. You good? Okay, last one of this. Okay, if I plug in 0 for x, what is my y? 4, right? Because the x went away, so there's nothing to solve. There's nothing in front of the y. If I plug in 0 for y, what is my x? 2, because you're going 4 divided by 2. Okay, then graphing, everything's positive in this one, so 0, go up 1, 2, 3, 4, becomes my y. Okay, and then the other coordinates is 2, 0, so I'm going to go over positive 2, but I don't go up or down because my y was 0. Okay, and then oh. Okay, good? Okay, so tuck goes away unless you think you're going to need it for the try it. but you'll use it tomorrow for the lesson quiz. Okay. So I only have 14 people that submitted the Google Forms. So that means 6 of you have not done it. So if you know you didn't do it on Thursday, do that first, please. Computers are down low. Go to the desktops. Okay, so get that done, and then you're working on the try it. I would like to grade the try it because there's not very many of them. I don't think these are very long problems. Okay, so let's get that graded today, and then when you're done, you're either working on Con or Alex, one or the other. Okay.
Wait, could you read like who's turned it in?
What?
Could you like read who's turned it in? Form.
The Google form. What about it?
Could you like say who's turned it in?
Oh, I can. I can go through it if you don't read.
Remember.
Okay. So this is labeled lesson quiz. That was I had 2 lesson quizzes, so this is the try it. So don't think you've got the wrong thing. So if you want to cross that off, and I'll get you fresh staff paper. In the master, right? Yeah, you did. I just pulled it.